And we're live. Hello, everyone who's in the chat. And thanks so much for waiting a few minutes while we were just waiting for Mason. He's an insanely busy guy and he is in another meeting, but we thought we'd start. And Jared wants to talk a little bit about the launch in the app marketplace, and we can talk about any questions that anyone's got. So just feel free to put them in the chat. And then when Mason arrives, he can add his thoughts too.
Yeah, so Tuesday launch of the marketplace, which was cool. We're glad to be part of it, and we didn't know exactly what it'd be like, but of course, putting the editor into Webflow, the Webflow designer, felt like a good idea. So that's what we've done. There was a small change that we made already before. When you would install the app, it would send you directly over to our sign-in page, and you would have to choose to sign in with Webflow as opposed to just signing in. So we made an update so you're automatically getting signed in and getting pushed to the Slater or the Webflow app install screen. And so after that happens, it pushes you over to Slater.app. But that is only that flows a little bit weird. And so if you then go back to the designer, then you're able to refresh and you'll see that the app is there, assuming you install it into that project. Looks like I'm in the headline now. So you're back. Good. Anyway, we recognize that we really design kind of for a user who's coming into Slater through the Webflow designer, because we automatically generate a team and we automatically generate a project and page based on where you are in the designer. If you are an existing user who has a project that's live and you open up the Webflow designer, it's going to generate a new project that will live alongside the project that you already have live. And so we'll fix that flow so that you are able to pick the correct project if you already have that project created. So that's in the works. The other issue that we were hoping we'd be able to address with the release of the V2 API is just pushing our script into your Webflow project. The unfortunate realization we had is we can do all of that, and we wrote the code to do all of that, but Webflow requires you to do a Webflow publish every time your JavaScript changes. So that makes a ton of sense if it's a more conventional JavaScript JavaScript solution. Like for example, JetBoost, you install it once, you never need to install it again. Most of the other JavaScript implementations are going to be similar to that. Whereas with our JavaScript, it's like save it and refresh and see what those changes are. But because of this security feature that they have, you would have to save it, go over to Webflow, publish, and then check it out. In theory, we could do that publish with the API, but that's a slow process. And then you may have changes that you're not ready to publish on your Webflow project. And so there's that issue as well. So when you open up the Webflow app, designer app, down in the bottom right corner is the code snippet that you can then copy and paste. I probably should show all this. Let me open up a Webflow instance and I'll share my screen. Jack, what's going on? Are we replaying?
So I can't see your screen. Are you trying to share it?
Okay, never mind. Let's try that again.
So if anyone's just watching while Jared gets this up and has any questions about the marketplace, anything about the Slater roadmap, any questions about anything else that we have got in the works, then feel free to ask away. I'll just put Jared's screen up. Some questions coming in. So what I'll do is I'll let you show what you need to show, Jared, and then maybe we can tackle some questions.
Yes. Okay, let's just hop into maybe an old Slater project. Do you guys want a sneak peek of the new website that's coming out pretty quick?
Can I get a hell yeah?
Oh, shoot, someone's in it. Looks like Mason's designing. He's busy designing the new website. He can't be here.
He's designing his own website when we're meant to be on a live stream with him there. So let me ping him a message and see what he's up to.
I'm guessing he just left the designer open. But let's just go with our old Slater app manifesto website. Okay, so here are all the apps we've installed, and we're going to launch this one. So we've got this sign in with Webflow. This isn't my favorite kind of design decision by Webflow to have the app install flow be the same as the authentication flow. But you can go through here, just add it to whatever project, authorize the app. It will pop us back in here. Now, so you'll notice a few updates, potentially. Well, I guess they're all new to you. You can log out if you need to. This is what I was bringing up, the scripts. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to use the API to inject the script. So you'll just be copying it here. And now that we're working with Slater within the designer, it's really pretty simple to just drop it in here. So this is an old one. Save and publish, and then you'll be able to just keep moving forward with this Webflow app. And if you guys do run into anything, we added the support link, and so you can add whatever your issue is, send it over to me. We'll get working on it right away. We're very interested in getting your feedback on all this stuff. It's still very new. We're still learning a lot of things. This is as large as we can make the Webflow app. And so we've pushed everything off to the left. You can just open these up, close them back. It's a pretty good space. It's much better than working with the header and footer tag, header and footer custom code within the designer. So anytime you can save to dev, save to production. We don't have snapshots here yet. We'll add that soon. Kind of had to really work quickly to generate this and get it tested and get it through the Webflow review process. And so now that we've got it through that process, we'll be making updates here a lot. So a few of the updates that are on Slater.app are not quite here yet. So also we're missing the CSS. But again, all of that will be coming soon. The biggest thing that we'll be addressing is being able to hop out of this project to a different project if you want to access that. For our existing users, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge with using the Webflow app today.
Awesome.
Questions we have?
Yeah, we've got a few things. The first one is from Andrea. She asks if there is a way to connect the app with an email instead of the Webflow sign-in. She's asking because she has different emails for her Webflow account and for her Slater one.
Yes, we have actually noticed that's an issue. We will have a fix for that. One of our Edgar Allan devs has that same issue. And so we will, figure out what that looks like exactly. I'm not too sure. I'm sure it's going to be a drop down similar to how the teams are today. So if we
Yeah.
come over here, you'll notice this one's my auto-generated Hello Edgar Allan account. I only have one team, but if I create multiple teams, they show up here and I'm able to toggle between them. So we'll do the same with email accounts.
Awesome. And Andrea, when that change comes in, in fact, I'm going to write that down now. And when that change comes in, I'll send you a message, okay? Although you'll probably find it out before I message you if you actually have this problem. But still. Okay, awesome. Someone has just joined the stream. Wit, welcome. Let me add you while you're, because you were sitting there in the shadows just below the screen there. I thought I should add you.
I was just hiding.
Wit is going to be helping with support stuff for Slater. So, why not add him to the Slater stream so he can come and say hi to you guys in person?
I think support's the right word, but also maybe the better word is education. So Wit's going to be providing a lot of JavaScript education, as well as helping you with Slater. But I think that's really where he's going to start making a lot of videos, talking with a lot of people. So yeah, JavaScript questions. What's your guy?
I'm excited.
I'm happy to answer questions, but we will do it better than me.
No.
Yeah. Come on, you guys, stop flirting live on the stream.
Oh.
And actually, speaking of Wit providing education, Eric Unger, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. He says, I'm new to Slater. Can we do a quick demo? And Dimitri, in answer to your question, what's next for Slater? That's partly why I brought Wit to the live stream, because we're going to be doing a lot more educational content around getting Webflowers up to kind of basic JS level, at least knowing key concepts and stuff. We've got Kabaza, who's making a course, and Wit is also going to be supporting the education content. So I'll bring it back to you guys, Jared and Wit, if we could do maybe a quick demo for Eric.
So Eric, I just signed in. You'll notice I'm a beta user, so you'll see some functionality that's not necessarily live yet. It will be coming soon. For example, this transfer, it's kind of ugly, but we'll be allowing you to send your Slater project to your client so that they can own that, and gives them a lot of confidence around where the JavaScript is, who can edit it, different things like that. So the first thing I wanted to show off is the teams. So I've got several teams. Edgar Allan, this is where a lot of the code is being written. I'd love to get rid of this bar, but I'll just leave it. I'm just going to hop into a new team. This is just a test account that I use. I'll pop in here. And you'll notice, let me go back real quick. If you created the project, you have privileges for that. You can turn it on for your team members so that anybody can access it. You can do the same with pages. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility into like who can actually edit. Here at Edgar Allan, we have a dozen people who are all in that same account, and that allows us to share the same code. And so if there's a solution that worked well in one place, we can easily move it over. We also have confidence that only the right people should be able to update that JavaScript file. And so it gives us a lot of flexibility in working well together, but also keeping those pages secure. So here is the editor. This is where you're going to be writing all your code. This is a JavaScript file. And if you're experienced with JavaScript, you can just start writing your JavaScript. once you're at a good place, I mean, maybe when you generate it, you should copy this and move it into your Webflow project. If it's for a single page, you can add it here. We recommend you put it just before the body tag. If it's for all of the pages, we recommend you add it to the site settings. So add it here just before the body tag. We do have kind of just a general file that you can add, just a single file. That's what this is, I believe. Well, this is actually a Webflow single script. So we actually go get all the different pages. So this will generate a single JavaScript file that you can put in your footer code here. And then you'll be able to generate new pages, and that will automatically be updated. And you won't have to go back into Webflow and republish or anything. And so it gives you a lot of flexibility in generating all the JavaScript you need, not having to go back and forth. Let me go back here just really quickly. We do have these other scripts. So this is going to be, you'll notice the Slater.app/640. This 640 is referring to the project. If you just want the single page, you can get this one right here, or you can get this one. There's a dev script and a prod script. The dev script is going to be very fast, so you can save it and refresh, and you're going to see your updates on your Webflow project. The prod script is a little bit slower, and it is actually generating a file and putting it out on AWS S3. And so that file is extremely resilient. So when you are using, pull this open a little bit. So this script here, it checks to see if you're on a webflow.io domain. If you are, then it's loading this one, which is the dev script. And again, that's the really quick one. The reason you wouldn't necessarily want this on production is Slater may go down for whatever reason. If it goes down, this file is not going to be served. And so we didn't want to have that be an issue for your clients. And so we do generate this file here. And when you're not on a webflow.io, this is the file that's getting served up. Again, extremely resilient. It's just not as quick as far as when you're developing. And so you get the best of both worlds, like a really kind of snappy development experience, but also extremely resilient production experience.
One thing I want to add is that you've seen me work with it, Jared. I always push to production. I always work off the prod version. And I mean, it's not like, I haven't ever noticed it being slow for what that's worth. Like, if you have like giant sites, it may be a little bit slower, but yeah, it's still pretty snappy.
I was actually doing some testing because we had an issue. If you have, I don't know, 12,000 lines of code, which can happen if you're adding external scripts to different CDNs, your file can get rather large. It's a little bit slower in those cases, but we made some updates where I was saving a 30,000 line file to production. It was a little bit slower.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I was just my own personal experience of building like smaller things in there. It's been pretty snappy.
Good. But yeah, so it's just a single script. And again, you can add multiple files. It's just going to populate in your Webflow project. There are a few kind of minor edge cases around this. For example, if you have CMS collection, the single script will be, there's some edge case around like writing to the item piece of that. So I don't remember the full details of it, but there's a few things that we'll be working on to make that single script better. Okay, so you have these JavaScript files. If you're writing some cool code, we do have this public page, so you can pop over here. You could share that with whoever you want. Maybe nice. We have the roles on it again. We're going to be doing some cool stuff with the Webflow selectors. So this is kind of beta functionality. You won't see that. We've added CSS a week or two ago. If you're writing anything that is not kind of supported by the Webflow designer, this is a good place to have it. You have the same kind of setup here where we're going to serve up the link file based on whether you're in staging or in development or production. This is going to be a big effort in the near future. So you have your personal library, so you can, if you write some interesting code that you will be reusing a lot, then you can pop in here. For example, a fetch request. I'm doing this quite a bit, and so I can just copy and paste it in. This is generic code. We are going to make this so there's a community library. You're able to pull in a community solution into your own library, and this will just allow you to work quickly with existing code that you're familiar with. So that's one piece. And then we haven't really gotten over to the learn side of things, but this is, I would probably say the biggest, well, I think the workflow stuff of Slater is the biggest help for me personally as I'm writing JavaScript for Webflow. Second is the AI here. So the AI is extremely good. And you'll notice this just gave me some code to use. So we've added some additional configurations around this. So I can use GPT-4 or GPT-3. I would love to hear your perspective. I almost like GPT 3.5 more. GPT-4 has really kind of struggled lately. I don't know if you've as well.
I mean, I use different ones for different things, but I was working on some stuff earlier that the code interpreter in GPT-4 was really just like nailing in a way that I was having to go back and forth with 3.5 a little bit. But I mean, they're both. I think the thing with 3.5 is it depends on how complex the thing is you're trying to do, right? So it's like if you're trying to do something that's really intense, then code interpreter can kind of fill in some gaps there. But I mean, 3.5 is so fast that, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for that too.
Yeah. So if you're not getting what you like, try toggling them back and forth. The reason I think 3.5 is good, I don't know about better, is I believe it's what they use to train Codex, which is their code model. So the other piece is, you'll notice I have the show code only toggle switched on, and so it's only giving me the code. If you're new to development, having this turned off is better because it will explain the code and really help you learn why that JavaScript solution is correct. The system prompt is a beta functionality that I use. Some of the stuff that we were going to talk about today with Mason, potentially, if he is able to show up, is around different views. And so being able to just like prompt the AI and have that AI write the code for you, and you wouldn't even necessarily need to look at the code. It could just potentially work. So that's a lot of the R&D we're doing right now. We have the chat archive. So if you are writing code, it's important to, oh shoot. So if you are going down a path and are writing or asking a bunch of questions to the AI, but you're going down a path you don't like, clear the chat out, start that conversation over, and you can usually get to where you want to go. But if you need to ever hop back into see a response in the past, you can always go back to the chat archive. But did you have something to say on that?
No. I mean, I use the clear chat all the time because I go down paths that I'm like, oh, I want you to forget that I even asked you this. And it's super handy. And I actually have, just to also chime in, I've had the experience in the last 24 hours of using the CSS hosting functionality on a client project that I was using Slater to create the JavaScript side for. The CSS piece was super helpful to kind of have all that in one place and be able to link that stuff up. So I actually do have to drop, but it's good to see you guys.
Yeah, likewise.
Awesome. Cheers, Whit. Jared, so we've got so just to clarify for anyone that's watching and is like, wait, what? So we've got Slater, which you can open in a new tab, right? So you can log in to that, or you can open Slater within your Webflow project from the app marketplace, right? So right now we're looking at Jared's screen, which is obviously his Webflow project. He's been opening Slater within the actual project itself. Now, this app has, this is obviously Slater, but there's more functionality within, if you open Slater within a new tab, you've got screenshots and other functionality. But the basic functionality of using this within, obviously, your Webflow project is that everything is contained within that. And you can also obviously write more than 10,000 characters than you would in just the native, Webflow custom code editor. So that's one immediate reason to use Slater if you're doing custom code within your Webflow project. But if you want screenshots, which is essentially a functionality within Slater, which means that you can save the current code that you have before you then edit more code and potentially mess it up and then be like, oh, I need to go back to the previous code that I had. That's the functionality of screenshots. Jared, maybe we can look at the Slater app within the new tab as well, just so that we can see all the different functionality within that. Would that be possible?
So say that one more time. So
could you potentially open Slater outside of the Webflow project?
I thought we were doing that. Have you only been looking at the
right? Okay, sorry.
This is
yes,
that's
because I was looking at this like maybe we're okay. Eric, you were completely right, because Eric just put in thanks. I can only see one screen bring percentages. He's showing a different window. I thought you were talking about the app within the Webflow project.
Yeah,
my bad.
My bad. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Okay, so yes, this is the Webflow app, and this is what I was actually looking at. And so we were clicking around to a few different things, but here we are. What you just saw was, or what you just heard but did not see, is I was writing some prompts to the AI to get this fetch request in this case. So where do I go back to? So anyway, here's the different configurations you can add to the AI. So you can use GPT-4 or 3.5. You can do code only or the full description. And then I was saying this system prompt is just available to me. This is what we're going to be using to create a new experience that is really a no-code experience for writing JavaScript, where you won't necessarily need to even interact with the code from this code editor. And so that's where we're spending a lot of R&D time, is what I said. So what else do we want to do? So what I was about to talk about is this, you can create a snapshot. And once that snapshot is created, you can then view that. And let me go back. I should have one with a bunch of snapshots. Maybe not. Anyway, as you make changes, you'll be able to just pop back to a prior state of your code and make that update. What else do you want to talk about, Jack? I think that kind of covers the big things.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what's next for Slater. So everyone here, I'd imagine, is using Slater quite a lot now. They may have come to previous streams like Andrea and other people. I can talk about some community stuff from what's next from Slater, but what's next from Slater from a product perspective?
Yeah. So we're going to be making updates to make the Webflow app better for existing users who want to use projects that they've already started. We're working to support multiple user accounts so that you can toggle between your different users if you're using a different Webflow login, because we are using that Webflow email to handle this. We are working on that client transfer functionality. So when you are finished with your project, you'll be able to transfer that Slater project to the client, and so they will own that, and they'll be able to. You'll be a user on that client team, and they'll be able to add additional people that they may want to continue to build out that JavaScript file with. What else? Then the biggest effort is around the community marketplace, or the community library. So as you're saving your own pieces of code in the library, you'll be able to share that with the community, and then the community will be able to pull pieces of like solutions into their own individual projects.
Awesome. Yeah. So just to be clear, guys, there is a personal library which you can save your code to. So if there's code that you consistently use, obviously you can save that in your library. But soon we're going to have a library that, you know, is for Webflowers more generally, and you can choose whether you want to share that code wider than within just your account, if that makes sense. Yeah. Eric is asking, does the client have to pay extra to give me access to it, i.e. paying for another seat like with Webflow?
It's not totally figured out yet, but no, as of now. So the client will pay to have their own seat. We're automatically adding you to that, and so you'll be able to continue to make updates. We have several clients who we complete the contract and send everything over to them, but then with Webflow, of course, they're inviting us into their Webflow team. Slater, you'll automatically be part of that after you transfer that over to them, and then they'll be able to add additional users. Whether we charge for that, we'll see. We're kind of crafting exactly what that value proposition is for that client user.
Yeah, and also just to say as well that paying for Slater, we are soon going to have, and this links to Dimitri's question about what's coming soon, is having a kind of points-based program where, you know, if you create content with Slater, or you potentially create a clonable, or, you know, you maybe write an article, then you'll essentially get points, which you can then redeem to either get, you know, Slater for free for a certain amount of time, or there's Slater merch coming soon. I was in a meeting about that today, so hot off the press there, guys, and various other bits and bobs. So in terms of costs and stuff for Slater, it's worth saying that we recognize that there are users all around the world, and we thought if we had some kind of pricing model, or some kind of value exchange model, I should say, to allow people to use Slater from wherever they are, and also have a very reasonable pricing model, whether you wanted to make content for us or not. Any other questions coming in? Dimitri, I hope that answers your question about what's next for Slater. So from a product perspective, just to recap, we've got the community library coming. We've got some more customizable things within the Slater app itself. You're going to have screenshots within the app. And Andrea's just put Slater merch with the eyes. She's already got some Edgar Allan merch, so she's probably like, Come on, guys, get that Slater merch out. I want some of that. And what else did we talk about from a product perspective? We talked about some UI changes as well. And then from the community side of things, we're going to do the points-based program. And another thing from the community side of things is, since you guys are on the live stream, I'll give you a bit of a head start. There will be a competition launching next week. So there's going to be a challenge to create a game. And so if you're interested in that challenge, keep your eyes peeled, but you can have a little head start thinking about how you could create a game within Slater and Webflow. In terms of merch, if you're interested, there's a few different bits and bobs being talked about. There's a hat, and I'm actually not going to say anymore because this is kind of Mason's thing to talk about, but I'll give you that much. We've talked about a hat. It's not exactly groundbreaking stuff on the live stream, but I feel like I shouldn't say much more. Just scrolling through to see if there are any other questions. Someone put, "Where's Mason?" It's a good point. I'm a little bit worried, guys, because he talked to me about this stream and he's not here and he's not replying to my messages when he normally does quite quickly. So either I've massively pissed him off without me knowing how, or maybe he's just in another meeting and lost track of time. But I hope he's okay. No other immediate questions. Jared, do you have anything else to add from a product side of things or a roadmap side of things or anything else?
No. I mean, we're busy here, and we'll be, looking to make a lot of updates around the Webflow app, as well as the marketplace, or we're calling it the community library. I keep calling it the marketplace, but it's the community library. So there's a lot of different places that we see no-code developers going to find JavaScript snippets, and we think Slater should be that place where you get all of that. And some of our Slater users are kind of leaders in that space, and I think they're excited to allow Slater to make that a little bit more streamlined for them.
Yeah, and speaking of that as well, I mean, all the feedback that you guys have given us so far has been invaluable. I mean, just to really stress that, if you guys see stuff that is potentially could be improved, or features that aren't there that should be there in your opinion, or any feedback generally, it's so helpful to hear your thoughts. So and I think sometimes you might see something and be like, "Oh, I wish it had this." When you say that out loud to yourself, or maybe just in your head, just think, okay, I'm going to actually take action and then tell us. Because I think sometimes we complain about products and stuff, but actually if that's not aired, then it's not going to improve for anyone. So please do, take action to actually say that to us. You can do that on
We do prioritize user feedback. So we may not get to all of it right away, but generally speaking, your feedback is going to be the first place we look to what we should be building next.
Yeah. And so Eric says he's out for a run, no doubt. Maybe he is. Maybe he'll join the live stream on the run. Who knows? Is the Slater community library free for Slater customers, and will there be some kind of upvote, downvote system? Eric, what do you think? I would be very intrigued to hear your thoughts. Sorry, I cut you off there, Jared. Do you want to say something?
Not at all. I think it's going to be free. We haven't thought about putting it behind the paywall or anything. Up vote, down vote is not necessarily something we'll have right away, but probably biggest challenge of this feature is having a good way of surfacing the right content or the right solutions. So that upvote, downvote could be a really good option.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about having kind of Slater community champions. So if you give code snippets publicly to the Webflow community, then that will be part of the points program. So there will at least be some kind of tracking as to who's giving what code. But this upvote downvote system has obviously done wonders for Product Hunt and other websites like that, which have community involvement. So it is something that we have talked about. But what is precisely going to happen when we can't yet tell you, I think, Eric. But a great question. If you guys haven't already joined the Slater Slack, send me a message. Anyone that's watching the live stream should be in there, because you're obviously really keen on using Slater and giving us feedback. So massively appreciate it. Jump into the Slack and let us know. Any Slater related activity for the Webflow Conf? Ooh, interesting. Do you want me to speak on that, Jared?
I do.
Okay. So we have Alex Thiele, a Frenchman, talking at the Paris Webflow Conf meetup. It's obviously not Webflow Conf in Paris, but there's a watch party that's happening there with about 100 people, and there's going to be a talk given by Alex. Off the back of that, we have thought about getting a few other people to talk at different watch parties in the Webflow community. So, in fact, Andrea, I reckon you would be an amazing person to do a talk. I don't know if there's a watch party in Mexico. Maybe I'll message you about this. But anyway, yeah, so there's going to be a few like watch party related things. And then in terms of specifically at the Webflow Conf, Mason will be speaking at Webflow Conf, and Kendra, who is Mason's kind of other half in Edgar Allan, will be also speaking at the Chicago Webflow Conf. So there's some Slater related activity there. If you guys are actually going to Webflow Confs, any of the Webflow Confs, you may well see some of the exclusive Slater merch there too. Don't tell anyone I said that, though. Eric, thanks. Exciting. Great. Glad to hear it. Andrea, Eric, maybe you're the only two watching, because there's no one else asking questions. In the last few minutes, guys, if anyone has any questions, if you're like, oh, I don't know whether to type in and the question, I'm nervous, please just go for it. Just go for it. Andrea's got some emojis for us. Thank you, Andrea. Are you guys going to Webflow Conf? Put it in the chat if you are, which one you're going to. You may well see Mason live and direct in person. You can ask him Slater-related questions there, because we'll have to do another live stream to, for you guys to chat to Mason as well, because he obviously has a lot of thoughts around Slater and the roadmap when he's not running. Or maybe we can go on a run with him and ask him questions then. That might be fun. If there's nothing else coming in from the chat, I think we could end the stream a little bit early. But thank you guys so much for coming. Jared, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we finish up?
Well, I'll say this was kind of on the fly. This is not the scheduled programming. So we will set up a time with Mason to actually have that conversation that we wanted to have. But appreciate you guys sticking around. Hopefully it was somewhat useful, and yeah, let us know how Slater's working for you.
Yeah, definitely. And Eric, if you haven't yet used Slater, jump in, give it a try, let us know how it goes. And I'd recommend following the at Slater_app on Twitter to stay up to date with any more live streams that we do. We have a live stream every Wednesday, and we have a live stream pretty much every Thursday as well. Spotlight sessions with people in the community that are actually using Slater, and you can kind of see how people are actively using it on client projects and more. So,
and real quick on the Wednesday office hours, we would love to have any JavaScript issues that you are running into. Our favorite office hours are when we're solving real problems for our Slater users. So if you have any confusion with your current project, if it's not something you can show, we can figure out a workaround. But send that to Jack or myself, and we'll try to include that in the Wednesday office hours.
Yeah, definitely. Andrea says we're deciding if there will be an in-person or virtual FlowMex meetup. I'm personally going to one in London. Andrea, I'm going to message you now. Great. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Jared, thank you for reacting to this session and showing us how to use Slater. And we'll see you guys next week in office hours or another spotlight session. Or maybe you guys will actually be asked to come on a spotlight session if you make Slater stuff. So thanks so much. See you guys next week.
Okay.
Okay.